Hello, team players. Got a little bit of a different video for you today. This time I want to talk about spells in the new Battlecry book. Yes, believe it or not, there are brand new spells in this book. So let's get started. Let's start with Blinding Bottle. It's a 5th rank spell available to arcane and occult casters. It is a 30-foot burst within 100 feet. It requires a fortitude save for all creatures in the area, including your allies, so you need to be careful with the spell. On a successful saving throw, the target takes poison damage. On a failure, they receive blinding poison at stage 1, which is poison damage and blinded for 1 round. On a critical failure, they get stage 2 of the poison, which is more poison damage and also blinded for 1 round. If they get to stage 3 of this poison, it's even more poison damage and also blinded for 1 round. But if they get to stage 4, it's even more poison damage and blinded for 1 full minute. This is a very good spell, especially on low fort save enemies, as it does something even if they succeed on the saving throw, which is fantastic. And if they at least fail, then they get poisoned, and possibly even blinded for a full minute, which is ridiculous. If you're an arcane or occult caster, you definitely want to consider this one. Next we have Blister Bomb, which is a 3rd rank spell available to arcane and primal casters. It covers a 5-foot burst within 100 feet. All creatures in that area must make a fortitude saving throw. On a success, they're sickened 2. On a failure, they get blister pox at stage 1, which is also sickened 2. But if they critically fail, they get stage 2, which is sickened 2 and bleed damage. They take even more bleed damage if they get to stage 3, and stage 4 is sickened 3 and even more bleed damage. This one is pretty insane. A successful saving throw is sickened 2, which means -2 to everything, and they can't just get rid of it either. They have to spend an action retching to even attempt to get rid of it. And the bleed damage is just a cherry on top. Really. Sickened is such a rare and such a great condition that if you're an arcane or primal caster, you need this spell. Next we have Boots on the Ground, which is a 6th rank spell for arcane or occult casters. You create up to 3 illusory gargantuan duplicates of troops within 100 feet. These illusory troops can be within 500 feet of you before they blink out of existence. Illusory troops can be attacked, and if hit or fail a save, they're destroyed. And you can give them instructions, but they can't perform actual tasks or create sounds because, they're illusions. This is an okay spell. You're not going to use it very much unless you're in a specific type of campaign. And even that's kind of pushing it. Next we have Clockwork Devotion. This is an 8th rank spell that is only available to arcane casters. You summon a battalion of clockwork soldiers. This is an incarnate spell, so on arrival, they deal slashing damage to all enemies in its location or within 15 feet with a basic reflex save. On departure, they explode, dealing slashing and fire damage in a 30-foot emanation. If anyone crit fails on the save, they take persistent fire damage. You need to be careful with this spell because it can hit allies. There are quite a few incarnate spells in this book, so you'll need to be careful with a lot of them. However, Conquering Soldiers is not one of them. It's a rank 10 incarnate spell that's available to arcane and divine casters. You summon an army of old. Upon arrival, all enemies within 80 feet must make a will save or take mental damage and be frightened. On departure, you and all allies immediately reduce the value of certain conditions by 2 and get a bonus on attacks, saving throws, skill checks, and DCs for 3 rounds. This is an insane spell. I can definitely see why it's rank 10. Frighten enemies and get a bonus for 3 rounds? Ridiculous. Next we have Curse of Recoil. It's a rank 1 spell available to divine and occult casters. It's a reaction you can use when an enemy within 120 feet is making a ranged strike. They have to make a will save against being off guard and might take a penalty to their ranged attacks. It's an okay spell. It's not great. I mean, it's only really useful when enemies are using ranged attacks on you. Otherwise, this is just a waste of a spell slot. Plain and simple. Next we have Dancing Shields, which is a spell from 1E that I remember using a lot. But how does it work in 2E? It's a rank 2 spell available to all casters. Targets one shield and one willing creature within 60 feet. When you cast a spell, and every time you sustain it, you can have the shield automatically protect the target with this raise shield action. And if you have shield block, you can use it to have the target shield block. But you don't get any other abilities of shield block. This spell can be sustained for up to 1 minute. This is a very good spell on druids, particularly if the druid has a champion or guardian in the party. As now, the champion or guardian doesn't have to use an action to raise their shield, nor do they have to use a reaction to shield block. Very, very good. Next we have Desperate Repair. It's a rank 5 spell available to arcane and primal casters. It's a reaction when a shield within 60 feet would be reduced to 0 hit points. This spell prevents the shield from being destroyed, and the shield is now at 1 hit point. But you can't use this spell again until your next daily preparations. If you got a tank in the party, this is a very good spell. Otherwise, pick something else. Divining Trench is a 3rd rank spell available to arcane and primal casters. You dig a trench within 120 feet. Creatures can use the trench for cover, and it lasts for 1 minute before disappearing. It's situational, but it can be good, especially if enemies are using ranged attacks against you. Moving on, we have Explosive Barrage. This is a 6th rank spell, also only available to arcane and primal casters. You can create a bunch of 5-foot bursts within 100 feet, but these bursts cannot intersect. Creatures in the area take fire and sonic damage, and it can cause them to be deafened for 1 minute. This is pretty good. It's fire and sonic damage, and sonic damage is actually pretty rare. The deafened is okay, but not great. It's good for when enemies are spread out, but otherwise, probably not the best spell to use. Fallen Soldier's Lament is a rare rank 4 spell available to divine and occult casters. You create an illusion of a dead creature within 100 feet. And the illusion can be moved. Enemies within 30 feet of the illusion must make a will saving throw against being frightened. I can definitely see why this spell is rare, but I mean, frightened is good, but you need a dead creature to use this, so it's situational. Next we have Filter Air, which is a rank 4 spell available to all casters except occults. And it literally does exactly what it sounds like. 1 degree of success higher on saves against inhaled poisons and diseases. Pretty situational. If you've got inhaled poisons and diseases around, this is a great spell to have. Otherwise, you're probably better off picking something else. Forced Mercy is a rank 1 spell that's available to divine and occult casters. 1 creature within 30 feet must make a will save if they're unwilling. All damage the creature deals is non-lethal, but they don't take the normal penalty on their attack rolls. This can last for up to 1 minute depending on the saving throw. It's a decent spell. It's not great though. It's when are you going to want an enemy to do non-lethal damage to you? And when are you going to want to cast this on an ally? It just doesn't seem like that good of a spell to me. About the only way I see this spell being useful is on an ally when you don't want to kill the enemy that you're facing, which is pretty situational. Frozen Fog is a fantastic spell. It's a rank 6 spell available to arcane and primal casters. It's a 20-foot burst within 120 feet. It works like the Mist spell, except it requires a fortitude save against cold damage. And it can also make foes clumsy and lower their speed. So this will possibly lower their AC and maybe even their attack rolls if they're dex-based, and lower their speed. And if they're weak to cold, this spell is insane. Highly recommend this spell. Next we have Helpful Reload, which is a rank 2 spell that's available to all but primal casters. You reload a weapon with reload 1 or less as a reaction. Hiding this spell grants a bonus on the attack roll as well. You can also create appropriate ammo if you heighten the spell enough. It's situational, but if you have someone with a reload weapon in your party like a crossbow, or even better, a gunslinger, then this is insane spell. You're basically turning a reload weapon into a longbow, effectively, as a reaction, which is insane. Especially if you got a gunslinger in the party. Next we have another incarnate spell with Holy Hosts. This is a rank 8 spell available to divine and occult casters. This is a very long spell, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but I am going to go through the best ones. The first is the Agathian, because it stuns enemies on a failed save when it departs. There's also the Azata, which deals damage to enemies and pushes them away, as well as give allies a bonus to attack, damage, and saving throws when it arrives. And enemies are frightened and deafened when it departs on a failed save. We also have the Garudas, which gives a bonus on skill checks and DCs for allies upon departure, as well as possibly knocking enemies prone. There are others that I'm not covering here, but the entire spell is on screen. Next we have Instant Minefield. It's a rank 5 spell available to arcane and occult casters. You choose 6 unoccupied squares to summon mines in. These mines are unaffected by area effects, and they last for 10 minutes. They're only visible to you and your allies. If any creature enters their square, they take fire and piercing damage. This spell can be very good in small areas, or even large ones if you put them in the right place. As you're dealing damage to enemies that walk into the squares, because your allies aren't going to walk into them because they can see them. And then after that, they're going to realize, oh, they're walking into a minefield. So they need to be a lot more careful, which means they might waste actions trying to avoid these mines, which is very, very good. Next we have a rare rank 10 incarnate spell for arcane and occult casters, Jassim's Allegiance. You summon Jassim the Wanderer. Upon arrival, he deals fire damage and possibly drains enemies. On departure, he deals slashing damage to enemies and objects and can possibly sicken non-metal creatures. I can definitely see why this is a rare rank 10. You're going to be able to use this on about 90% of enemies. And sickened is very good. Very, very good. And this can hit multiple enemies. Yeah, this is definitely one you want to try to pick up if you get to rank 10, which is essentially level 19. So most people aren't going to be able to use this spell, but if you can pick it up, that's fantastic. Lock Item is a rank 2 spell for arcane and primal casters. And it does exactly what it sounds like. Locks an item in a creature's hands. Situational, but not great. Guess you could use it to keep someone from stealing items from you, but otherwise not great. I guess the other thing you could do is, if you can somehow get like an alchemist bomb in a creature's hands and about to go off, then this is very good. But otherwise, not a great feat. Next I have another spell that I recognize from first edition, and that is Pest Swarm. This is a rank 4 incarnate spell for all the divine casters. You summon a swarm of pests and nuisances. It's a very long spell, but the best ones to summon are the cockroaches, because they can sicken on departure, rats, because they can knock prone on departure, skunks, because they sicken on departure, and spiders, because they poison on arrival and can deal poison, bleed, and clumsy on a failed save, and they lower speed on a departure. There are many others you can summon, but like I said before, they're all on screen here. Next we have an insane spell called Shock and Awe. It's a rank 5 spell available for arcane and occult casters. You frighten and possibly stun enemies in a 50-foot burst within 120 feet with a will save. It only affects enemies and has a huge area and range. A 50-foot burst is ridiculous, and it also gives 2 of the best debuffs in this entire game. I highly recommend this spell if you can get to rank 5 spells. With Siege Weapon's Blessing For 1 minute, you can gain advantage on skill checks to load siege weapons. Enemies also have disadvantage on saves against siege weapon damage. If you got a siege weapon, this is fantastic. Otherwise, pretty situational. Skeleton Army is another incarnate spell at rank 6 for all except primal casters, which honestly makes sense, because primal casters don't really summon undead. Its huge size and has a speed of 40 feet. It deals slashing damage on arrival and piercing damage and possibly frighten enemies on departure. Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. Frighten is very good, and this can hit a lot of enemies. So, yeah, it's good. Now let's talk about Steel Fortifications. It's a rank 2 spell available to arcane and primal casters. You can create up to 3 large fortifications. These fortifications can be broken, but any creature near them takes persistent bleed damage. Creatures can climb them as well, but passing through them counts as difficult terrain. This one is actually good for trapping enemies, but otherwise, there's not a whole lot you're going to use this spell for. If you've got party members that want to trap enemies with them, this is a great spell to use. Otherwise, pick something else. Then we come to Sticky Fire. Rank 2 spell available to arcane and primal casters. This deals fire damage and causes enfeebled on a hit. Pretty basic spell. It's basically a better version of Ignite. It's only a little bit better than Ignite, to be honest. Not even that much. Honestly, in most cases, I would rather use Ignite than this. And lastly, we have Unholy Army, which is another very long one. It's a rank 8 incarnate spell available to divine and occult casters, which makes sense. I mean, you're not going to summon this if you're primal for sure, and this isn't really something that arcane would cast either. The army is huge. The best one to summon are daemons, because they deal piercing damage and possibly sicken on arrival, and deal slashing damage and possibly drain on departure. Devils, which deal piercing and spirit damage on arrival, and deal non-lethal bludgeoning and possibly knock foes prone, or even immobilizing them on a critical failure when it departs. There's also Velstrax, which deal persistent bleed damage and slow down enemies on arrival, and on departure deal piercing damage and possibly frighten and deafen. These are very good summons to do, and there's even more, which of course all of them are on screen. And that's all the spells in Battlecry. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like and leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite spell from Battlecry is. You can let me know here or on my Discord server. I also have a Starfinder channel for if you're interested in that. And if you want path builders for any of my teamwork builds, you can check out my Patreon page. You can also get my videos early on there. Links are in the description. In addition, Monster Mash is coming up. So, if you guys have any kind of Halloween one-shot coming up, then you're definitely gonna want to stay tuned to this channel and maybe even subscribe, because me and 20-Sided Adventures are going to be covering all things monster starting October 1st. But until then, you may want to check out the video on screen. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.